What's up, guys? Welcome back to True Sound Studios. I'm Weezna. So today I'm going to show you guys how to use your mixer as a microphone preamp and then connect it to what I consider to be the least expensive, but quite literally one of the best vocal compressors for the tracking process, and then connect that to an interface. So in this video, we're going to be using the Mackie Mix 5 mixer. Now it just has a single microphone input on there, but it doesn't have to be just this mixer. It can be literally any mixer that is out there that it will accept a single channel microphone preamp. And we're going to be plugging that into the DBX 160X compressor. Now unfortunately, you can only buy these used. They are an older compressor, but you can get them, if you're patient, for about $200. If you're not as patient, maybe closer to $300. But I tracked with this compressor for 8 or 9 years, and it sounds wonderful. It's fairly transparent, and it does a wonderful job at compressing the vocal before you actually get it into your DAW. And then the interface we're going to be using today is the RME Babyface Pro FS. Now, it does not have to be this interface. It just has to be an interface that will accept a line input. And it doesn't matter the connection type. It could be a 1/4 inch or it could be an XLR, but as long as you can switch it to a line input, it will work. Okay, with all that being said, let me show you guys the few cables and then we'll get into hooking this up. And then additionally, I'm also going to show you guys quickly how to set up the compressor and what this entire chain actually sounds like. So the first cable you'll need is just your standard mic cable. So one end will be an XLR male and the other will be an XLR female. Then we're going to need a TRS to TRS cable or a 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch cable, just like this. And then last, we're going to need a TRS to XLR male cable to hook up from the compressor to the interface. To connect this all together, first going to grab our mic cable and plug it into the microphone input on our Mackie Mixer. Then looking at the main outputs left and right, because this vocal is in mono, we only need to use one output. In this case, we'll use the left output. And then the other end of the cable will plug into the input on our DBX compressor. Then we can grab the last cable and plug one end into the output of our DBX compressor. And then we can plug the XLR male connector into the input 1 on our RME Babyface Pro FS. So then just to quickly go over the explanation of this, we have our microphone plugged through the yellow cable into the mic input. From there, we can adjust the gain or the EQ. Then we can send a certain amount of level to the main mix left output on our mixer. And then through that TRS to TRS cable, it plugs then into the input on our DBX compressor. Then it can do its compression inside of this unit. And then the output of the DBX compressor gets plugged into input 1 on the RME Babyface Pro FS interface. Then in our interface software, we want to select a line input, not the mic input. Okay, so quickly, I'm just going to show you guys exactly how I set all this up. So the microphone is coming into the only mic input right here on our little Mackie Mixer. I adjusted the amount of gain. You can see actually every once in a while that little red light lights up, which means we're getting a little too much signal. But that's okay as long as it sounds the way that you want. I'm not doing any EQ. I'm not panning it. This is the amount of level then that we're sending from channel 1 to the main mix output on this mixer. So the signal is being sent from here with this volume pot. So if I turn this down, of course it goes away, bring it back up. So this signal is then coming to the main mix section. And then from here, if we had headphones plugged in, we could turn this up, but we don't. And on the main mix, once again, we are using just the left output because it's the single mono output. So we don't need to use both left and right. So we're just using the left output. It's running to the input on the DBX 160X compressor. And then from here, we have our output, which would normally, run into our interface and be recording. Obviously, I don't have it on right now because the audio is actually coming into the camera so that you can hear what it sounds like. So if you guys are enjoying this video, please click that like button. So we're just doing a bit of gain reduction. You can see sometimes it gets up to 4 or 5 dB. So right now I have it on 3-to-1. So if we want a little bit more compression, we could actually put it to 4-to-1. So it's going to more aggressively do some gain reduction or turning down of the louder levels of the vocal. Right now the threshold is, I don't know, around maybe -5. So if I turn this up to 0, you can see it pretty much our gain reduction goes away. If I put this close to that -10, now we're going to get a lot more gain reduction in there. So this is more of your like nice compressed vocal. This is probably a little bit too much, depending on the style of your music that you would want to record with. I would probably bring this down maybe to closer to 3-to-1. And, you know, to be safe, you know, anywhere between, you know, maybe 4 and 6 dB of noise reduction would be good. But also it's going to very much depend on your singer, because if your singer is very dynamic, you're going to find that, you know, they might be singing real quiet. You're only getting 1 dB of reduction and they get really loud. So you're going to have to kind of, you know, gauge that, you know, maybe some of the louder parts, you actually turn down the threshold so you don't have as much gain reduction going on. But it's totally up to you. You have to listen, you have to use your ears, you have to decide, you know, what sounds best for that particular artist, for that song. And then also we have the Over Easy button, really the only other thing that we can adjust. Over Easy just kind of changes how the threshold attacks the louder signal. So if we push this in, check, hey, 1, 2. So that's better. So sometimes this works a little better for a vocalist. It doesn't cut off the initial peak so much, so it doesn't sound as compressed. So not always. I would love to say that I always do it like this, but probably more often than not, the Over Easy does sound a little better on a vocalist. But once again, you got to use your ears and, you know, hear what it sounds like. Usually using 3-to-1, that's probably pretty good. And we're getting maybe 3 to 5 dB of reduction. You know, it's probably a pretty good, safe place to record with, because once again, you're going to be sending this signal into your DAW, and then from there you could, you know, further compress it if you want it. And then so the only last thing that we can adjust on this compressor is the output gain. So that's the amount of signal that's coming now out of the compressor after it's been compressed and is heading into our interface. So not every single interface has the option of being able to change the volume of the signal coming in on the analog input, because that's the important part here. We are using an analog input. We're not using a mic input. So we can actually just use this output gain on the compressor to dictate how much signal would go into our interface. And so if we boosted this, obviously we put more signal into our interface, and then obviously if we turn it down, we put less. And then of course on your DAW, you can monitor the amount of signal that you're getting into your DAW to make sure you're not clipping or having too loud of a signal, and then the opposite, having too quiet of a signal go into your DAW. But that's just a quick breakdown of how I'm using this small little mixer to go into the DBX, and then we would run it into our interface to be able to record. So if you guys like these connection type videos, I have a whole bunch more in the works. But on top of that, there's already a bunch of videos that I already have out there. Check the link in the description box down below for all the other videos, or just look for a playlist called Connecting Audio Gear. So guys, that is the Mackie Mixer as our microphone preamp running into the DBX compressor, which I think just sounds really, really great, especially for the cost of what you could get this thing used. So not only do I make these videos, but I mix and master full-time. That is my full-time job. So if you're looking for somebody to mix and master your music, all the info is in the description box down below. So guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please click the like button if you like this video, subscribe for more videos just like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.